Apostle Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 6, finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. I was a young preacher in a small church in a small town in rural Indiana. And I was trying to figure out how to do hospital calls, how to meet people, how to talk to people who were sick, and even in some cases, how to talk to people and share hope and good news with people who were dying. And so I drive the hour it takes from our little town to the next big city over there where there's a hospital. And because Roy Letterman is in the hospital, and it's not looking good, and the doctors have given him very little chance to survive. And so you walk into the kind of the lobby, the foyer of the hospital, and everything's open and bright and shiny, and lots of glass and windows. Everything's very bright and happy, and it feels healthy when you walk into a hospital, right? But then Roy's room was in the back, and so you kind of start walking, and things get from very bright and very cheery and very healthy, they get a little dimmer and a little tighter and a little, so you start getting a little claustrophobic the further you go back into the old part of the hospital. The tile is running halfway up the wall, and the decor is from the 1960s, until I get back to where Roy's room is. And I wasn't really prepared at that moment for what Roy would look like. He had liver cancer. And so you walk into the room, and the appearance of him takes your breath away because he is so yellow. It looks like somebody's gone over him with a highlighter. And his family is there, his wife is there, his children are there, his mother is there, and they're waiting for him. So I don't know what to do in those situations. You sit, you talk, you have a little small talk, you pray. After a while, you leave. And later that night, or actually early the next morning, Roy passed away. And I wish that was a better story. I wish that was a better story. I wish that when I went into that room, I had something grand to do or to say. I wish something monumental happened there. I wish that Roy had been healed in that moment. I wish that, at the very least, I could have alleviated the spirit, the very depressed spirit of that room, of that place, with a word, lighthearted comment, a tasteful joke. But didn't have any of that. I wish I could have been a hero in that story. A lot of stories that we wish we could be heroic in, that we could do something monumental in. You see, our text today is in the book of Joshua. And we're talking today about courage. And the reason that we need this, the reason that we need courage today, is because we're in a battle. And we face the battle in all kinds of different ways. But we all face that battle, that same battle, every single day. And the same battle that takes place in a hospital room is the same battle that's taking place in a living room And the same battle that's taking place in our schools, the same battle that's taking place at work, and the same battle that's taking place when you're stuck in traffic, and the same battle that's taking place all over this world. Ever since God created the world, okay, so like the very beginning, ever since God created the world, He put the world into order, right? He put everything kind of where it's supposed to be. And ever since that moment, Satan and the forces of evil have been trying to kind of disrupt what God put together. Right? So God creates the world and puts everything right where it's supposed to be. But then Satan wants to kind of disrupt all of this. You know, Satan's like that 2-year-old that just you just got everything put away. You just got all the toys put away. You just got everything looking nice. Company's coming over. And Satan is like that 2-year-old that just comes sprinting into the room and just throws everything into the air. And that's what he wants to do in our lives. And that's what he wants to do in your family. And that's what he wants to do in your work. That's what he wants to do in you when you're stuck in traffic. And sometimes Satan's disruption looks like a man dying of liver cancer. And sometimes it looks like an unruly, disruptive 5th grader from a difficult family situation who's acting out because that's all he knows how to do. And sometimes it looks like the senseless racism of a 21-year-old who kills 9 African Americans in a church in South Carolina. It's the same battle. And we face that battle every single day. And while we know as Christians, you know, we're Christians, so we know, we have faith, we have hope. We know that eventually we're going to win. Right? I mean, we can read the end of the book. Go ahead and skip to the end of the book. We win. Right? At the very end. We know that cancer and ADHD and racial hatred and all of these things are ultimately going to vanish. The Bible has this wonderful passage in 2 Corinthians where it says, that which is mortal will be swallowed up by life. That's incredible hope that we have. But I gotta be honest, it sure doesn't feel like we're winning right now. Does anybody else feel that? You watch the news and it sure doesn't feel like we're winning right now. It sure doesn't feel like things are getting better. Even with the incredible things that churches and ministries are doing all across the country, all around the world, it's still, the need still feels overwhelming. And there's too much need and not enough good to go around. A friend of mine serves in a large church in Lexington, Kentucky. And they have a ministry there. They have a pretty unique ministry there where the older ladies in the church come together on a day of the week, I don't know which day of the week, and they come together and they make casseroles, and then they go to the strip clubs where they meet the girls. They go in the back door, they meet the girls, and they feed them, and they love them, and they serve them, and they listen to them. Incredible ministry. And many girls have come out of, you know, the strip club and stopped, quit that life, that lifestyle, joined the church, expressed faith in Christ. And it's really good ministry. But then they ask, like, the owner of the strip club, it's like, okay, why are you letting these older ladies in when they're coming in and they're taking your girls away? And the owner says, oh, it's no big deal. We can always find more girls. No. We're doing good. There's so much more to do. 5 years ago, I got my first real taste of widespread poverty. I went with a mission team to Mozambique, Africa. Mozambique is the 7th least developed nation in the world. We were doing some teaching, we were doing some encouraging of the pastors there, and they're doing incredible work. People are doing incredible work. 30% of the population of Mozambique has HIV/AIDS. And they're doing incredible work serving that population, education, building schools, strengthening churches, but you just drive around and you see the abject poverty, and it's overwhelming. And the discussion in the news and social media this week about what happened in South Carolina demonstrates that we can't even agree on how to begin to ensure that things like that don't happen ever again. We don't know how to talk about these things. There's so much to do, and there's so little good going around. So to address all this, how do we even start? We're in a battle not against flesh and blood, but a battle against forces of dark world, the forces of chaos. To address the pain and the evil that's going on in the world, we need a real courage. We need a boldness to face what's going on. And the need is so great that none of us can afford to sit on the sidelines. All of us have to be included into this battle. But maybe we have the wrong idea. I think maybe we have a wrong idea of what courage really is. The kind of courage that we need to address the need in the world. I mean, you go on a Saturday night and pay, I don't know, was it 12 bucks, 15 bucks, you know, to watch courage in action. Right? I mean, that's what we do. Or you get on your Netflix and you want to see courage. So here's courage, here's a superhero in spandex, you know, fighting 20 guys at once. That's courage. Or here's a couple people running away from a dinosaur. That's courage. Or here's a small unit of soldiers defending against this larger army. But is that exactly what we're talking about here? Not really, not quite. The story of Joshua in the Old Testament shows us the kind of courage we need to face the powers of the dark world and all the many ways they attack. So there's three ways in which I want to kind of redefine courage for us, the kind of courage that we need to face the need that's in our world, in our nation, in our families, in our work, in our schools. First is this. Courage, real courage, is the willingness to obey. No matter what it is that God specifically asks you to do. Okay? Real courage is the willingness to just obey. To say yes to whatever it is that God is calling you, whatever opportunity God's putting in front of you. This is the beginning, kind of sort of the beginning of the book of Joshua, right? Moses has just died, and Moses had been leading Israel 40 years, and now it's Joshua's turn. Okay, it's your time to step up to the plate. And so here he gives this speech, he gives this message to the Israelites. And this is how that message begins. In Joshua chapter 1, verses 7 and 8. And this is really kind of the theme of Joshua. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the laws my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Okay, I want you to notice how Joshua links courage with obedience. Right? It says, be strong and courageous. Well, how do we do that? Obey what God told you to do. That's how you do that. It's not about going out and doing your own thing. Okay, be strong and courageous. Figure it out on your own and go do it. No. They're never on their own. They're never just saying, well, just figure it out. Here's a whole bunch of Canaanites. You just go charge them in. No. That's not God's plan. That's not God's design. This is not like some TV detective who goes around playing by his own rules, or like Jack Bauer on 24. That's not what we're talking about here.